What's going on YouTube? We are back with another amazing, healthy, delicious and fresh recipe today. We are doing a coconut and sea bass ceviche. Beautiful on a hot summer's day, and to be honest, I could eat this every day of the year. It's absolutely delicious. So to start, you want to get yourself a nice fillet of white fish. I've got some sea bass here. Cod also works really nicely as well. To be honest, you can use salmon. A whole variety of fishes work with this recipe, so really what you can get your hands on that's freshest. But personally for me, in most ceviches, I love white fish. So I've got some delicious sea bass here, and you can see that it's been filleted, but it still has the skin. Okay, so what we want to do is remove that skin, and to do so, you just want to essentially run your knife from right to left through the fillet. You can see I've already done one over here. It is easier to do this side of the fillet because you can start on the chunky side, but I thought I'd demonstrate on the slightly harder side here, running through the thin side of the sea bass. Essentially what you want to do is just get your knife, make sure it's a super sharp knife. If it's not sharp, it's not going to cut through the fish, so please bear that in mind. If you do have a sharp knife, essentially what you want to do is place it on the chopping board like so, and then just move it over to the fish, and we just gently carve through that lovely white fish meat. And you can see that I've got the knife parallel to the chopping board there, so it's flat on the chopping board, and we've just got this nice rocking motion going on, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And you can see here we're not actually cutting through any of the fish because it's too shallow, and that's fine. Take it over like that, and then you've got your lovely fillet of sea bass right there. So discard the skin, and you can see just how incredible this piece of fish is here. So yeah, I said it was going to be an easy recipe. I promise you that is the hardest bit out of the way. Yeah, just make sure you've got a super sharp knife, make sure you've got very fresh fish, and you can't go wrong. So now what you want to do is take your blade and slice the fish at an angle like that. And what you're doing here by slicing it at an angle is basically just increasing the surface area of the fish, okay? And the next stage in the recipe is to marinate it in lime, salt, and some other lovely ingredients. So by increasing the surface area, you're letting that acid and salt penetrate more of the fish, which is essentially going to cold cook it, okay? The lime and the salt will act as a sort of cooking agent. You'll start to see on the fish that it starts to get a nice gloss of white all over it, just the same as it would have if you were whacking it in a frying pan or the oven. We want to squeeze some limes over, so I've got 3 nice big juicy limes. As always, roll out your limes before you use them. It's just going to make it that little bit easier to juice, and you're going to get a bit more from your limes. That smell is just amazing. Oh my god, fresh lime and ceviche in hot weather it's got to be one of the most amazing things in the world. There is nothing better. Look at this. So you may think 3 limes is a lot, but this dish does require quite a bit of lime and salt in this first stage. What we're going to do is let that fish sort of pickle in the lime and salt for around 20-30 minutes, whack it in the fridge, and that's going to give us the most incredible texture. So that's the juice of 3 limes on the sea bass there. Then we want to add 2 heaped teaspoons of Himalayan salt, and it may seem like a lot, but tons of that salt is going to be left in the lime juice, which we're going to strain out in a bit. Next, I want you to add some chopped coriander. So nice thin pieces of coriander here, and you want to get all of the stalks in there, okay? Most of the flavor here is in the stalks, and the flavor of the stalks in particular is different to the flavor of the leaves, and it's exactly what we want in the ceviche dish. So again, whack that coriander into the ceviche. Next, you want to add some chilies. If you can, get Scotch bonnet chilies and just remove the flesh from the chili and discard the seeds. I've got a milder variety of habanero here, So I'm going to include the whole thing. So again, add your chilies to the ceviche dish. From here, just get a couple of spoons and you just want to give this a nice toss up, incorporating all of the ingredients here, making sure that salt and lime is evenly distributed through the fish. And then this is just going to go into the fridge for 20 to 30 minutes whilst we make our sweet potato puree, which is going to be the bed of this delicious sea bass and coconut ceviche. Okay, so next we're going to make a super simple creamy sweet potato and coconut puree. This puree slash mash is absolutely delicious. It is one of my favorite recent creations and discoveries, and it's the simplest recipe ever. Okay, it's just 3 ingredients: steamed or boiled sweet potato, skinless, good quality coconut milk, and sea salt. Please make sure you get some really good quality coconut milk. It makes all the difference. If you're not sure, then helps to spend a bit more. You normally pay for what you get. But if you can only get coconut milk, which is slightly more thin and watery, a good hack is to get coconut cream and mix that with a tiny bit of coconut water, and that will give you a nice thick and luxurious coconut milk. So first things first, get some of those steamed sweet potato into the food processor. Pop open your coconut milk. Get some of that in there as well. Then just add a small pinch of sea salt, a couple of pinches, just to balance out the sweetness in the sweet potato. Then just get that onto blitz and you're good to go. So you can see what you're left with there is a really rich, velvety coconut sweet potato puree, which is going to act as the perfect base for our sea bass ceviche. So now that the sweet potato and coconut puree is in the fridge, I'm just going to grab a bowl of ice cold water. So that's the first thing you need to get, just some nice cold water with a few ice cubes in it, and a small to medium red onion and mandolin. What we're going to do is get some super thinly sliced onions, whack them into the ice cold water. Essentially, that's going to do 2 things. Firstly, it's going to shock and crisp up the onion, going to give it a nice curl, which will look stunning as a garnish, but it's also just going to soften that sort of really intense oniony flavor as well. So first thing you want to do, and again, you don't need a mandolin. If you've got a really sharp knife and you've got good knife skills, you can also do it like that as well. Either way, remove the outer layer of the onion, then slice the onion in half. Grab your mandolin, and you just want to make sure that the distance between this plastic surface here and the blade is super thin, okay? So you sort of want to feel them and run your finger this way, not the other way, otherwise you're going to slice a bit of your thumb off. But you just want it to be nice and thin here. So that looks pretty good to me. Then grab your onion, run it through the mandolin like so. Do this nice, slowly and steadily. I used to work at a high-level Japanese restaurant where the heat was always on, and busy service on a Saturday night, wasn't paying attention, pinky was dangling down, got caught in the mandolin blade, and it was a bloody affair, to say the least. So once you get down to the end nub, don't be a hero, okay? Discard that, move on to the next piece here. So you can see what you're left with are these wafer thin pieces of onion, okay? Absolutely delicate, delicious, gonna be fresh, gonna give the dish a really nice level of finesse, and fairly easy and low maintenance to produce, okay? So once we've done that, just get that into the bowl of ice, then just give it a nice stir with a spoon, just making sure that all the pieces of onion are broken up. So that then goes into the fridge along with the sweet potato coconut puree and the first stage of the ceviche. Now we're going to take that ceviche out, drain off some of the lime juice and salt, and fold it in with the other half of that coconut milk. So we've got the ceviche out of the fridge. We've strained off the excess lime juice and salt. And as you can see, some of the flesh has started to whiten there. Next, what we have to do is grab the remainder of that coconut milk and just pour that over the top. This is going to be absolutely delicious. I cannot wait to get stuck into this. Exactly what you want on a hot summer's day. Super fresh, super vibrant, just beautiful tropical food. So again, just going to set this back in the fridge. We need to wait another probably 15 minutes or so for the onions to fully crisp up. So it's time to enjoy a cold drink and come back to it when it's ready to plate. Now we're good to plate this up. I've just got 3 garnishes that we're going to place on top of the ceviche. Some chili and plucked coriander leaves, some of those beautiful crisp onions, and finally some brown coconut sugar. And we're just going to plate this up here, spooning some of that velvety, rich and creamy sweet potato puree into a nice dish, getting some of that incredible creamy and fresh and delicious ceviche on top. Just take a look at this. It looks absolutely unbelievable. Drizzle over some of the coconut milk and coriander. Then for the garnishes, we're going to start with some of the chilies bang in the middle, like so. Some of the beautiful, fresh, crispy onions. Then some of the coconut sugar, just to give it a bit of color contrast and a touch of sweetness as well. And finally, some plucked coriander leaves, just to give the plate a pop of fresh green. And there you have it, my sea bass and coconut ceviche. Super fresh, super delicious, the perfect dish for a hot summer's day or any day of the year for that matter. And my go-to when I want something light, lean, and high protein. Hope you all enjoyed and see you next time.